Hi, I'm Zeus, and this is just a quick video that I wanted to do on a couple of cases of price manipulation that have either been brought to my attention or that I've come across. Obviously, price manipulation is something that goes on fairly regularly, but these are some fairly unusual examples, and they may have some fairly unusual explanations as well. We'll have a look at that. The first skin we're going to look at is a StatTrak minimal wear classified skin from the Revolver case called the Executioner. As you can see, I've got one equipped. Now, I know a lot of people are probably wondering, what am I doing running around shooting bots with a DAC? I know internationally people call it the Auto Sniper. I'm a proud Australian. I'm going to call it the DAC. Well, you see, I knew I was going to do a video on this particular skin, at least in part. So I figured what I should do is I should get some stock footage of me shooting things with it. So I went into deathmatch, and within about 5 seconds, I felt dirty and ashamed. So my solution is pretty simple. Bots don't tell any secrets, and no one is ever going to know I use this gun. But anyway, let's get to the point, because the point of this video isn't how much I despise this horrible gun, but how much some people are willing to pay to stick a coat of paint on it, and the reasons why. So if we look it up on CSGO Stash, you'll notice a couple of things. Firstly, its float caps out in the minimal wear range, and they're kind of hard to get in that condition as well. You'll need a pretty low float in a trade up to do it. It's not fun. Unsurprisingly, its minimal wear version sells for quite a bit more, as you can see. If you want one, you'll be paying a pretty penny for it. It is not cheap. Now, I'm sure the average person just looks at that and thinks, that's really expensive, who the hell would pay that much for that sort of skin? But, I'm not the average person. A while ago, I made some poor career choices, and keeping track of the prices of certain skins, not all of them, but certainly some of them, is now my job. And as it happened, I sort of knew what this skin used to be selling for. I knew it used to sell for about $150 a pop, so seeing this price made me a bit suspicious. I was intrigued at what might have happened, so I looked up the weapon on OP Skins, and I pretty quickly figured it out. As you can see, there's only one skin listed. It's up for $1,200. Once again, this could be normal. Sometimes people list skins for much higher than they're actually worth for no apparent reason. But if we follow the link and see what stuff is actually selling for, you'll see what's happened. So here's its price over the last year. As you can see, it's hovering around the $120 mark. And then, about a week ago, it suddenly shoots up. The price goes up tenfold. It's now selling for about $1,200. And this is how you know this isn't natural. Because if we look at the list of the last 20 sales, you'll see the list goes back to September. So only 20 of these have been sold in the last 6 months, but 9 of these have been sold in the last week at 10 times the normal price. So half the sales over the last 6 months happened in the last week. So it's pretty clear that something weird is going on. We can safely regard the price as having been manipulated. The question though is why? Why has more than 10 grand of this otherwise completely unknown skin suddenly been sold in the last week? Now, I don't know for sure, but I do have a theory, and my theory is that this mad case of price manipulation might not be intentional. Personally, I think it's way too risky and expensive for a manipulator to invest in, and if you look at the skins that are being sold, it isn't the same skin being sold and resold over and over, which is normally how manipulation attempts work. But we do see a couple of skins being sold and then resold a few days later, which does suggest whoever is buying these is then disposing of them in a way that results in them being relisted on the market a few days later. And I do have an explanation for that. I think what's happened here is some accidental manipulation. Some gambling site has accidentally given the skin a price that is way too high. Evidently something went wrong with its algorithms, but who knows why, but something's thrown it off. And it's probably listing the item for $2,000 or whatever. So people are buying it to get a really good bonus when they deposit. And there's a bit of irony to this, because I don't think this was intentional. I think this was a stuff up by an algorithm on a computer. But because now that lots of people are buying this skin at an inflated price, other sites are probably going to start offering inflated prices for it as well. So in a weird way, the inflated price sort of becomes the real price. Assuming I've got this whole analysis right in the first place, that is a bit of a precondition, and let me know what you think might be going on in the comments, because At the end of the day, this is still a guess. Despite the fact that this may have been an accident though, don't you worry, because deliberate price manipulation is still alive and well. The latest example I've been alerted to is the factory new Mach 10 Nuclear Garden. Interestingly, the price pattern here is very similar to the P2000 Pathfinder, which is the last manipulated skin I looked at. So you have to wonder whether it's the same people doing the manipulation. I think it's also interesting that we're seeing a lot of people going after Operation skins, because these are skins that were dropping only a few months ago, while there's older collections, like the Alpha Collection for instance, that haven't dropped in about 4.5 years. I think the cause of this may be that gambling sites and trading sites have gotten the hint and locked down a lot of these skins to avoid further trouble with manipulators inflating the price and trying to deposit. So I'd expect to see more Operation skins being targeted in the near future, at least until the next operation comes out. So this brings me to the final skin I wanted to look at. Someone directed me to this a few weeks back, and it's an old case of manipulation, but it's so bizarre I had to bring it up. So this is the factory new P250 Facet. It's an old skin from the Alpha Collection. It hasn't been dropping since 2013, and last year this started happening to it. There's a few things I should point out. Firstly, there is months in between all of these spikes. There's one in March, there's one in April, there's one in May, June, July, August, October, November. So this is going on over a huge time period, and all these sales are right on the $400 mark. This makes sense for the first couple of sales because the cap on Steam Wallet funds at that point was $400, but in May 2017, Valve increased that limit from $400 to $2,000. So it's really weird that most of these sales are at the $400 mark for the rest of the year. And part of the reason that is so weird is because one of the ways you could have explained these sales is somebody transferring Steam Wallet funds between accounts. What they do is they list an item using whatever account they want to transfer Steam Wallet funds to for vastly more than it normally sells on the community market. Then they'll go onto a second account of theirs that actually has Steam funds and buy that item. In the process, that transfers the money for you, minus the 13% or so you lose to Steam tax. But if that's the case, why would they limit themselves to $400 per transaction for the rest of the year? That doesn't really make any sense once the Steam Wallet cap has been raised to $2,000. However, by the same token, if these were natural sales, as in just organic demand, there's not many of these skins around, so somebody's paying a exorbitant price for one, it doesn't make sense that these are constantly being sold at a clean $400. Why aren't some a little bit higher? If the price is pushing up against that $400 limit and the limit's removed, wouldn't the price go higher? So that doesn't make sense either. Whatever exactly is happening here, it definitely is somebody who's listing and purchasing their own items. It's clearly deliberate in that sense. It's not random people listing at $400 again and again and again. It's just not exactly clear why, and it's often only one sale taking place. Like for instance, there's one sale in July, there's one sale in August, so that tells me that it's probably not somebody trying to manipulate the price by selling an item back and forth between their accounts lots of times to try and trick an algorithm on a gambling site or a trading site into overvaluing the skin. So, all in all, I'm just not sure what's happening here. I think the best explanation is still somebody trying to transfer Steam Wallet funds between accounts, but it's not a perfect explanation, so let me know your thoughts either way. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, trust the numbers, not your gut. I'm Jesus, thanks for watching, see ya.